Now that you've designed your 3D model of your concrete succulent pot, we can start to create the outside moulds first. Now before we do that, you can turn the colour back to default if you wish, or we can continue to work. Might just make it a little bit easier to see what's happening, and also turn the shadows and the reflections off. Rightio, now we've got our profile here. So imagine that we need to create an outside mould to contain the concrete when we pour the mixture in. So the first step at doing this is that we need to go to our revolution, alright, and we're actually going to delete the revolution. Now click delete. Now what we actually want to do is we want to keep that sketch that we originally drew. So depending on which model or which method you've chosen, especially the revolution or the sweep, this will be the same method. Rather than deleting the whole thing, what we want to do is untick the consume sketches and then hit OK. So now that's kept our initial sketch that we drew. So now that we want to go into that first sketch, and we're going to create a little outside border that goes around our profile. So to edit the sketch, just double click on the little sketch icon, or you can just right click and edit sketch. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these outside lines because we no longer need them, because we know that our pot is within our constraints. So you can either just select them like so and hit delete. I won't do that because that's going to get rid of my bottom line. So just untick that, just click that here. And what we can do also is use our trim tool, which only gets rid of a selected line, like so. And like that. We'll just make sure that we get rid of those dimensions first, because that's playing around with some of our deleting. Alright, and then we can re-dimension those. We can put that angle in there as well if we want to. Cool. So once it's all blue, you can get rid of that. Just trim that line up. There we go. So that's our profile just there. So now we want to use the offset tool to create a little border around the outside of our profile. So click on the offset tool and select our profile, or your profile in your case, and click on that, and we're going to drag it out to 3mm, like so. So the 3mm will be the thickness of our moulds. Now that we've created the 3mm offset for the thickness of our moulds, we need to delete the top as well as the bottom, including the inside of our little offset. So to isolate those, what we need to do is use the line tool and isolate those appropriate sections. So up at the top, we're going to just continue that line across there, and across on the other side, as well as across the bottom down here. So now this side is isolated for the outside mould, and now with this one here we're going to create vertical lines instead to isolate the axis for our mould to revolve around. So once you've done that, now it's a matter of trimming away the excess that we don't need. So using our trim tool at the top, which is the little scissor icon, hit the trim tool and zoom into the sections, the top and the bottom, and trim away the excess lines that we need. So we've got rid of the top there. Now we'll get rid of the bottom, so we can start from left to right and get rid of all those lines. Now you see, as I start to trim, I'm starting to lose some of those dimensions, and if that pops up, we're trying to delete a line that's connected to a dimension. So it may be handy to delete some of these dimensions, and we'll put them back in a second. Delete that one and that one there. So now you can see we've got the outside mould just here as well as the inside mould just there. So just to make sure that everything hasn't moved, just go back in and redimension those little offsets that we did before. That one's already dimensioned, so that's fine. Just to make sure that everything is alright and hasn't moved. And once the sketch goes all blue again, and down the bottom it says here that it's fully constrained, you should be happy that your molds are ready to re-revolve. So finish the sketch. Now we're ready to revolve the outside mold. So once we've finished our sketch, we go back to the 3D model tab, and the same way that we revolved our initial 3D model, we select that revolve tool. So now you can see the profile tab or button is selected. Now we can either select 3 of those shapes that we've got. So to begin with, we're going to start with the outside shape, so the outside of our mold. So this one just here, and now the axis that we're going to revolve around is the same that we revolve the pot around. So we select the axis, and that is the line just down here. So we can select that. Now, just to get a preview of what's happened, that is pretty much how our mold looks. Now, because we're going to be creating a 2-part mold for the outside, if you've got a symmetrical design that, the same design that goes the whole way around, what you can do is you can create a 180 design. So rather than doing the full version just here, you can type angle, or select angle, and then type 180 degrees, and that's going to be 1/2 of your outside mold. So if that is how you are choosing to do your design, once you're happy with that, you can select OK, and there we have the outside mold ready to go for the next step.